Hi, we're back.
And deader than ever.
It's Kelly.
And Tamara. And this is
Ghoul Beans.
Today, we're going to have some local lore. We're going to talk about Cuba Road.
Oh, man. And if you're in the Midwest, you already know Cuba Road. Well, maybe not the Midwest.
Well, if you're in Illinois.
If you're in the Northwest suburb.
If you're in the upper region of Illinois.
If you're between town A and town B.
Yeah, you'll know about this little strip of road.
And if you aren't, but you're interested, we're going to let you know.
Yeah.
Even if you're not interested. If you're not interested, why are you here?
Right. You wouldn't be here if you didn't care.
For sure.
But first, what are we sipping?
Okay, so today we went to Tradewell Coffee.
Treadwell Coffee. It's called Treadwell.
It's called Treadwell. Tradewell is...
Another week.
For sure.
My bad.
We'll make a coffee shop. It's called Treadwell Coffee. We found it
in Wheaton, Illinois.
So now everyone knows where to find us.
We already did. We keep referencing the northwest corner of Illinois.
I might as well just give you my address. But it's delicious.
What are you having?
I got Lisa's special. She's not working today, but she
is an icon.
She is. I have a vanilla rose iced latte.
Okay.
And it's actually really good. It's rose.
Good. I tried it.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen rose in a lot of coffee drinks, and
it's not giving perfume.
It's not giving perfume, which is what lavender does for me, and I'm always disappointed.
I want to like floral so bad because I want to be like a fresh, clean woman. But I can't. I'm more of a citrus gal.
I don't know if me drinking rose coffee
it
equates to fresh and clean.
It does. It's perfume for your insides. I'm just having a straight up vanilla latte. You're going to find that I drink a lot of these.
Yeah.
I love a good straight vanilla latte, and actually it's delicious.
Realistically, like if we're rating coffee, I would say it's very creamy. It's not bitter at all.
No bitterness.
Mine has like the faintest vanilla and even fainter a whisper of rose, if you will.
Somebody said rose into your cup.
They went rose and then capped it and gave it to me.
And that's what it's really.
Honestly, it added a lot. So
the vibe of the coffee shop was really cute. Highly recommend.
I would say the vibe of the coffee shop is better than the coffee itself, and for that reason, I will go back.
Yeah,
I'll try something else.
It's definitely. I mean, I even got a panini. Full disclosure. It's definitely like a workspace area. Moody lighting. It was somehow fall in there, but it's summer outside.
It was fall in there, and I liked it. It was kind of chilly, but like in a very comfortable way. The windows were tinted. We thought it was closed. We walk in, it's jam packed.
I really liked it.
Yeah, so definitely go. Try whatever coffee you want. I'm sure it gives the vibe that it would all kind of taste the same, but like in a way that I like.
Yeah. The next time if we're there again ever, I'm getting a tea because they had so many tea flavors that I haven't seen.
Yeah, they had like
hibiscus sangria.
Yeah, they had lime like honey. I was like, oh yeah, so maybe tea is the way to go that time.
Yeah, second time around I'll probably do tea. I do like my coffee. Like you said, it's not bitter or anything. Right. But it's not as strong.
For sure.
As I typically am used to.
Right. It's not like a coffee taste. It feels just like it feels kind of like the hotel free breakfast coffee. You know what I mean?
I think you're underselling it.
It's mostly cream, but I like it. No, that's my favorite kind of coffee. Gas station coffee? Are you kidding me?
I know, you do.
We'll have to review gas stations next time.
Yeah, next time we're on a 14-hour road trip to Colorado, we will review gas station coffee.
What are you sipping today? Oh, this is from the Sitco.
This is from a random gas station in Nebraska.
This is my 7-Eleven use.
Yeah, they know me.
They do. They used to, the other ones. Anyway, whatever. So that's the beans. Next time it'll be ghoul leaves. So when we do the tea.
Oh my gosh, we love a branding queen. But why do we care about Cuba Road? Why are we scared of Cuba Road?
Listen, those are the questions. Why do we care about Cuba Road? Honestly, I don't know. Why do we care? It's because we're scared.
Yeah. It's kind of... just like the general vibe. So I guess we'll tell you about how we first came to know Cuba Road as a place that existed and is haunted.
For sure. That'll answer the why we're scared of Cuba Road. So mine actually, so like we said, it's very, very common story, very common lore around the northwest suburbs of Cuba Road. Lots of classic stories about it. I actually didn't hear about it until I was in college. My roommate at the time, we were talking about scary stories, naturally. That's just like how I meet people.
It's how you bond.
It's literally the only thing I taught. My love language is ghost stories. So we were talking, and he was telling me about him and his mom. They were driving, and his friend. So him and his mom and his friend are driving down Cuba Road late at night, and his friend is in the back seat, and him and his mom are in the front seat. So they're driving down Cuba Road. It's like a long road, but there's a specific section that's like super haunted.
East Cuba Road?
Yes. I don't know. I could pretend.
For reference, just so you don't have to look it up, it's in between Lake Zurich and Barrington, commonly known as like Lake Barrington. I don't think that there's a lake over there.
I don't think so either.
Maybe but like that's where it's at. It's, again, this is all right.
Yeah.
Where we grew up.
For sure.
Heavily wooded.
Heavily like, maybe there's a lake over there. Heavily railroaded as well.
Yeah. And not like a passenger train. No, it's freight. We're talking long freight trains.
Long, slow. You're gonna miss whatever you're trying to go to by an hour freight train.
Yeah. And we
yeah, we got stories. So it's all part of the time. So yeah, they were driving down the road, and it's like midnight. I don't know what they were coming back from. It's always midnight. But his friend is sitting in the back seat, and she's trying to call someone, but the phone, or send a text, and the phone is just like not working. There's no signal.
They're all in Brian's car?
They're all in, his mom's car.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And the signal just like isn't working, whatever. And which is weird because there's houses there. So like the signal should work. You know, people live right there.
It's really residential. It's not like there's a house every couple of miles. There's like, it's a neighborhood suburban home.
Right.
Homes.
So instead of sending the text, like tries to call the person. And then it's just like a really weird, like it's not calling. It keeps like doing that like doo-doo. It's, you know, an older story.
Oh, yeah, the doo-doo, I know.
You know, like, it's not, no signal. And then the phone just, like, freezes. And it was a Nokia. He made sure to tell me that. You know how they don't do that shit.
Those are reliable.
Right.
So this is serious.
You're taking that to, like, your deep woods camping trip.
Yeah.
So it just freezes and then shuts off. Like, this Nokia is dead, right? Like, she was like, do you guys have a charger? They're like, no. And so they're talking, because they were talking about Cuba Road as they were driving through it.
Yeah.
And so they continue, they're like, oh, that was creepy, blah, blah, blah. And so then his mom was telling, like, stories that she heard growing up about Cuba Road and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So then they get out of, like, Cuba Road. They turn on to whatever that...
14, I think.
Yeah, they turn on to 14. They're in the more residential, like, or the more, like, business park part. There's stoplights, there's street lights, they're safe. They're in the whatever. She turns on her phone. It turns on. She has a voicemail. Not a record, not whatever. She has a voicemail from an unknown number. It is of them telling the stories of Cuba Road.
Are you kidding me? I'm gonna gag. I'm literally like trying not to throw up. That is so gross.
I know, I have too.
So an unknown number.
An unknown number. Because they were like, okay, it glitched. Like maybe like your phone called itself, and she was like, it turned off. It was dead. Like it would not turn on.
So true.
Yeah.
Because my initial reaction was like, okay, well, like, sometimes on those older phones, if you called your voicemail long enough, and you, like, pressed pound twice, you could enter into your...
For sure. No.
Jesus.
Yeah. So that's how I heard of it, and I was like, that's horrifying. And so, naturally, ever since that point, I wanted to go.
You were intrigued.
I was intrigued. I was scared. You know, it's one of those things where you're like, I'll never go down that road.
Yeah.
But if I got to, I gotta.
Yeah. Or, like, I would go, but if the circumstances were, like, if it has to be noon in July.
Right.
Like,
it's... from that point on, if I ever because I was like, oh, that's near where I drive around when I go back home. I was like, if I ever pass Cuba Road, I'm going to feel yucky.
Sorry, is this 2015, 2016?
Yeah, this would probably be 2015.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's when I first heard about Cuba Road. What about you?
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I needed a second to
please
hack because I started to gag off of the the voicemail. Okay. So the way I heard about Cuba Road, I think a lot of people probably have a similar story to me who grew up in the Lake in the Hills, Crystal Lake. Although you don't.
For sure, I didn't. But it's funny because, well, I know what you're going to say. But it's funny because Brian's story is similar to your story.
Yeah. So my mom is very sensitive to ghosts. That's just kind of the culture in my home was my mom and I used to stay up late watching ghost stories, paranormal, whatever.
Yeah.
Paranormal State, actually.
Oh my God, love paranormal. State. I love that you and your mom did that. My mom, I was a weirdo. Well, you did it too, but I would come home from school and online go watch Ghost Hunters or something, and my mom would be like, "Are you watching this again?" Because she believes in it. She's had experiences, but like we said last week, she's like, I'm not gonna scare myself for no reason.
See, we liked it. I think it was just the adrenaline of it. Although it was I would say 9 times out of 10 a mistake because then we would be scared.
Always.
But it's kind of part of the fun. So one day we were driving and she was like, "Do you want to go down Cuba Road?"
Oh my God, I love that.
And I love
that.
And I was like, "What's that?" I'm 9, I think. I'm like, "What's that?" And she explained to me what she knew about Cuba Road at the time. She goes, "It's just this haunted road. I don't know why it's haunted, but there's a cemetery over there and apparently an insane asylum, which we will get into later." But and it was the middle of the day. She wasn't crazy. She didn't take me at night.
I like that she said and apparently she's trying to warm you up to the idea. She knows damn well there's an asylum at the end of that road.
So we just drove on the road and she's like. She told me some of the stories, right? So, and she told me that there's train tracks over there. I was like, how is it possible that this corner of the universe is so? I mean, the cemetery is there.
Yeah.
The cemetery is not a large cemetery.
No, it's literally someone's back in the day.
Right. Back with the settlers. Which actually, if we want to get into the history of Cuba Road.
Yeah.
Because that's basically all I had known about it.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, we would always be like, "Oh, we should go down Cuba Road."
For sure.
Not that we ever, we didn't really do it again, but the fact that it's there is, kind of fun. And me and my mom, again, like I said, we were, really into, haunted, spooky stuff.
Yeah. It's now living in your brain.
Right. And it has preoccupied my brain to this point.
For sure.
I'm 27 now. So, just to give a little history of Cuba Road, I would say the main draw of Cuba Road for locals and non-locals is the White Cemetery.
Yeah.
The White Cemetery is very small. It's I don't even know what the footage is, but it's not big at all. There might be 30 graves.
If you were holding your breath past cemeteries, we all played that game growing up, you wouldn't even notice it. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be one deep breath. That's how small it is. The White Cemetery dates back to the 1820s.
Oh my God.
Okie smoky.
The 1820s are just the worst time.
Yeah, anything that's before 1900 is disgusting to me.
For sure. Immediately haunted. Oh yeah, for sure.
So a cemetery that dates back to the 1820s. We don't know how the cemetery was used prior to 1844 when Thomas White came to Cuba Township.
Really?
We don't know. But it's suspected that it was military.
It was called Cuba Township?
Mm-hmm.
Ew. I feel it's so much more
It's still called Cuba Township.
I feel
But it's Barrington.
To me, Cuba Road's just a road, right? But it really feels like Cuba Road is much more Cuba Township, White Cemetery,
There's
that's
a whole, talk about lore.
Literally, that's true.
Prime local lore.
The point of our episode, and I'm I can't believe it's so popular.
To me, I identify it as Barrington or Lake Barrington.
Yeah.
Barrington, not Barrington Hills, but Lake Barrington or Barrington. But yeah, it was part of Cuba Township. We don't know. It is speculated that it was a military, which means that it wasn't marked. Because if it was marked, then we would know that it was military.
Right.
Thomas White was believed to have settled into Cuba Township in 1844. Right. Still gross.
Still gross.
One of the earliest settlers buried there is Francis Kelsey, and he was a naval captain in the War of 1812.
So basically just like a lot of death, a lot of male energy.
Yeah, a lot of testosterone.
A lot.
Although the Whites, Mr. and Mrs. White, are there, buried in the cemetery.
Still? Their bodies are still there, you think? Well, the essence of the body.
Where they were buried is still there.
Okay.
And their headstones are there, and they're actually off in the back left corner. They're not in the middle or anything.
Stop. I'd be so pissed.
They're close to the tree line.
Ugh.
White Cemetery?
Why did you say something like that? Like,
what are we here for, Kelly?
Close to the tree line.
Yeah. What did we, what was I gonna say? Oh, the cemetery itself is backed up to a tree line. Mm. And from my memory, the cemetery never used to have a gate around. Ew. It used to be just, not in the front, you could just walk right into the cemetery. And now there's like a gate, but it's never really locked. Although on the website it says that you have to lock it, but there's literally like no lock.
That's so gross.
It is gross.
No, yeah.
And I now that I'm...
So you remember driving past it and like just being like, oh, there's just like headstones hanging out in the grass over there.
I mean, I remember driving past it at probably like age 11, 12, and it was like July in the summer. You know, I mean, in the broad daylight, it wasn't scary. We were just like, ooh, creepy, you know?
I hate
But,
that.
you know, we went on Halloween night.
Yeah, we made it gross.
When Cuba Township took over, it was run down.
No.
Yeah, when Cuba Township finally took over after, you know, Thomas White and all them.
Yeah.
You know, all them.
All the homies.
It was, like, fucked up. And, like, it was, like, dilapidated, essentially.
No. Yeah, we hate a ghost town. We love a ghost town.
We love a ghost town. We hate a ghost town. So that's kind of where it's at now. And now they've done some... I mean, it looks a lot better. It's not still dilapidated. I mean, we would know.
For sure. That would have definitely been mentioned earlier.
Yeah. It's not dilapidated. It's actually, like...
It's really nice.
It's really nice, but it does have this, like... I don't know how to describe it. It, like, radiates scary.
It does. Well, it's like in the middle of nowhere. It feels in the middle, much of the Midwest.
It like kind of is, really. It's in the middle of a neighborhood.
Yeah, it's like a long road with like grasslands all surrounding it.
It's a long road. It's a long road that it just has houses along the side of it. But in the grand scheme, it's actually a tiny piece of road.
Yeah. And like the surrounding area is like tall grasses, and like the houses that are there are like nice houses with like big yards that are separated by like big ass trees. Like it's not like you can see your neighbor in their window. Like you literally, it's more wooded. It's more rural than like a suburban.
Isolated.
Yeah, exactly.
If you didn't know how to get into that neighborhood, you would never find it.
For sure. Like it's a rich neighborhood, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure that's part of the draw is they're like, people aren't just driving. Well, honestly, they probably have people driving all the time, but.
And hopefully this episode popularizes Cuba Road.
For sure. I mean.
I hope that everybody would remain respectful. Like, if you're planning on visiting White Cemetery,
lock the gate.
Yeah, lock the gate. Don't act a mess. Just go in there like it's historical, because it is. Also, realistically, like just a heads up, never do any kind of spooky shit in a cemetery, because I don't think anyone's prepared for like what can come from that. And like, you know, these people who are listening to this podcast are absolutely doing spooky stuff in the cemetery. Like, it's not up for debate. Well, I would suggest not to. I will never join in on that because I respect my peace of mind and sanity. But we're also a little bit traumatized. Well, for sure. Which brings us into our experience with Cuba Road. We were having Halloween night. Set the scene. It is midnight. We're driving back from Richardson's corn maze, which is a ideal fall Midwestern staple, really.
Like, if you're going to go to a corn maze and you live 2 hours from Richardson's, if you don't go there, what are you doing?
Right. It's the world's largest corn maze.
It is.
As they love to advertise.
Themes. And so, a little bit of pre-spooky. We are there with, obviously, us, our partners, and then good old Tony.
Good old Tony, who will be on the podcast eventually.
Yeah. He doesn't believe in ghosts, but he has probably more experiences than a lot of people we know.
Yeah, he writes them off as...
He's like, I was sleeping.
With my eyes open and standing.
I immediately got up and left for work, but...
I did drive later, but...
I was in my car, but, like, I think I fell asleep. I love you, Tony, sorry. So we were all there having a good time, and we go on a hay bale ride.
Through a corn field.
Yeah, you see where I got confused.
Yeah.
And, like, the teen that is in charge on the back.
You think he was a teen?
Well, he was definitely, like 30-year-old.
Yeah. Right.
But he was, like, the 30-year-old that never is growing up. You know what I mean?
He was like he's
the teen 30-year-old.
He was there from the beginning. He's a Richardson's, like...
He is a Richardson.
He's a like, Richardson. Mr. Richardson, I love your corn maze.
And he's on the back, and we're talking about, like, spooky stuff and how we're gonna do Cuba Road.
Do you guys know what a hay bale ride is?
Oh, yeah. It's when you're on the back of a tractor that's normally used for, like, plowing or stuff.
But it's hauling, like, a glorified wagon.
Yeah. It's usually a very nice wagon.
It's a huge wagon that holds people and hay.
Exactly. These seats were wooden, but realistically, a classic hay bale ride is going to have bales of hay as your seat.
It's so dangerous.
So dangerous.
Could get stuck. Could bounce right out. I mean,
man, it was bouncy.
There's
ride.
no shocks.
There's no shocks, which just makes it fun, but definitely not what I would want to be liable for.
Right. I think you do have to sign a waiver to go into Richardson's.
Do you? I had to pay $20. I know that. It's not cheap being the world's largest corn maze.
No, they gotta make their money somehow.
For sure. Someone's gonna plow these fields.
Someone's gonna eat that buttered corn. It's gonna be me.
Right.
Actually, it wasn't me that night.
That's because we had to wait in a line for like 50 hours. Anyway. So, we're on the...
Sorry, we digress.
The guy hears us talking about how we're going to go to Cuba Road after this, and he's like, if you guys are in for some thrills, like in his creepiest voice.
Yeah, he goes, there's actually like a cemetery up the block. And we had seen it. Right?
Yeah,
we're like,
yeah.
oh, that's a very creepy, like, towny cemetery.
Yeah, and he was like, me and my friends go there and like drink after work, and like, you guys should totally check it out. And we were like, 100% this guy's gonna murder us in this cemetery.
In the moment, we're like, wow.
Yeah, oh my god, that's so creepy.
And then we walked away, like, maybe 50 feet from the tractor, and we were like, so he was planning to jump us?
Right, like, no one's going to that cemetery tonight.
Maybe he was trying to be nice. We don't know. Let me not assume this of the Richardson man.
Mr.
Richardson.
Mr. Richardson's son. I don't know. Definitely it was weird. So
it was weird vibes, and we weren't gonna go.
For sure. He didn't say a word at all. Like, he was sitting across from us just, like, staring at his feet, listening to us for the 20-minute hay bale ride.
Yeah.
And then right as we're getting off, he was like, hey. And so it was like...
Because he heard us talking about our plans after, I think.
Yeah. Either way, he was a creep.
It set the tone, though.
It did. It set the tone of, like, the foreboding, like, townie being like, don't go there. Except he said go there.
Yeah, so he's like, join me.
Join me. I can... So, we leave Richardson's, and again...
a long-ass drive to Barrington.
Long-ass drive. And so, we get off the highway and turn onto Cuba Road. And, yeah, we're going down. And so, again, Cuba Road, it's not really a long road. And, like, the cemetery is pretty small as well, like Tamara was saying. So, like, honestly, the first time we drove by it, we, like, kind of missed it.
The first time when we turned into it, I was riding in the back behind the driver.
Yeah, you were on, like, so the spooky part, the way we were going was on the left side. So Tamara was, like, on the side that the spooky, like, you're looking across the street and you can see the cemetery.
Right. There is I mean, there's just a general air of fear anyway.
Yeah, and we all hyped ourselves up.
It's a little nervous energy in the car, but that's what makes it fun.
Mm-hmm.
And we weren't expecting to, like, see anything. We're like, let's just go and scare ourselves.
Yeah.
And we did.
Yeah.
And so we are on Cuba Road. I look to the left, and, you know, I got creeped out because I was like, damn, all the lights in that barn are on, and it's, like, midnight.
For sure. And we're all just, like, driving, like, we heard her, and we were just, like, I'm looking out the other side of the window.
But everyone's nervous, and everyone's kind of ignoring me because they're all trying to, like, be on guard, I think.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, like, it's grassy, it's kind of woodsy, so, like, I'm looking into, like, the nature, and I'm like, what little people are, like, what people are, like, hiding in there? Mm-hmm. So we're all just kind of scared. So we pass the cemetery, Sam sees the barn, we pass the cemetery, and, like, then again, like,
and we're like, oh, done. There it went.
Yeah, and so, like, bing, bang, boom, we missed it. We hit these train tracks. And then we turn around, and...
we were at the train tracks.
Right. Because we had to turn around, because we were like, okay, well, we have to go back since the cemetery, we saw it for 0.5 seconds. Mm-hmm. So we turned back around, and the freight train, like, the 2 seconds it took for us to turn around, this freight train is there. So we are stopped. I don't know freight trains in any other part of the country, but the Midwest freight trains, you could be there for upwards of, like, 20 minutes. This one was not that long.
No, this one was, like, 10 minutes.
The second you see a freight train going by, you know you're late. You're never going to make it.
Yeah, you should just text your boss right away that you're not going to make it to work.
First.
So,
I'm calling off. I'm behind a freight train.
I'm behind a freight train. I'm going home. But we're in the car, and
electric.
Yeah.
It was electric.
The
vibes, man.
The vibes were so intense. I mean, and it's not a populated part of the road.
Oh, yeah,
so
no
both
one's
sides
there.
are full woods, like a thicket.
Yeah.
Like, it was bad.
Like, again, I am sitting there, and, you know, like, obviously, again, we are hyped up.
Yeah.
We are looking to be spooked. But it felt like people were, like, standing there watching. Like, it felt like you could look, and if you looked hard enough, you'd see someone, like, scoop behind a tree or something.
There was a couple moments where I had to, like, shake myself out of it because I could have sworn that, like, the wind was blowing in one direction and, like, a path was going the opposite direction. Ugh. Like, of the tops of the tall grass.
Yeah, that's
it was, like, moving against the wind.
Oh, I'm getting chills because literally that's what it felt like. Like, that is the exact thing. Like, you were noticing stuff and everything kind of felt wrong. It just kind of felt wrong.
Yeah.
So, the train passes, nothing, like, abnormal overtly happens, and then
Tony is insisting on playing his weird oldies.
Tony's playing oldies, but like 40s oldies, not like the normal 80s oldies.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of big band trumpet, like, but not like the upbeat one, but more the one you
like
hear
a abandoned jazz bar.
Yeah, which really again set the mood.
Don't know why, but we just let him.
We were like, okay, this is making me feel just as horrible, but that's cool.
Getting nauseous.
So, yes, we go back, we see the cemetery again, and...
we slow down to a stop.
We do.
But we don't get out.
We don't get out. It's not what we're gonna do.
We're just looking at it. We see, I mean, it's Halloween, so...
yeah, there's been people walking through, and, like, good for them. They're having the Halloween I never want.
Teenagers.
Yeah. They're doing a ritual.
They're making the memories that we were also making.
We were also enjoying. I wonder if they had, like, any experiences or anything.
I don't know.
Not
maybe one day we'll revisit.
No. Maybe the same teenagers will be walking through. Ew.
No, I doubt it. They were in like the high school hoodies of like modern high school hoodies. Those were live.
There's people. Modern ghosts. There should be.
Modern Ghost is a good band name.
So we drive past and we're like, okay, cool, that was the cemetery. But actually, there's another part of Cuba Road, a sub-road, an offshoot, that is very haunted called Rainbow Road. And yes, we did make the Mario Kart jokes, so don't you worry.
Yeah.
And this road is just a road on the neighborhood.
Like through the neighborhood.
Yeah, through the neighborhood. It's up a hill.
Yeah, up multiple hills. It's pretty hilly. It gives Rainbow Road.
It does give It did. Like, the curve was really kind of steep, too.
There's no, like, guardrail, but, like...
There's not
they're
more
honestly...
on Rainbow Road. Sorry.
Get out. There's no, like, guard, but there definitely could or should be in some parts.
For
sure. The curves are really tight.
They're really tight. And, like, the houses, like we were saying, they're really nice houses. It's midnight, so they're all pretty much dark. But they're also kind of... So they're all kind of, like, spread apart a little bit. But, again, like, just to get the vibe, like, everything that happens is creepy on its own because the actual neighborhood was quite lovely.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's a little bit unsuspecting, like, during the daytime.
Yeah. So we
turned on to Rainbow Road.
Mm-hmm. And again, I'm on the wrong side of the car, or the right side of the car, honestly.
Literally the right side and also the right side. As a passenger on the left side, I looked into the corner, and I don't remember which one of you saw it with me, but somebody did.
Yeah.
There is a house.
I think it was Matt. I do remember him saying.
Because he was also on the left. He was driving.
For sure.
There's a house, like an old farmhouse, like a Conjuring-looking house that is updated, but also totally dark. And it's on the corner. It's a corner unit, basically. Mm-hmm. There are huge evergreen trees in the corners of the yard and, like, kind of sprinkled throughout. And I see what to me appeared to be an old lady just standing out in the middle. I have goosebumps. Standing out in the middle of her yard, and she was. It was just her silhouette, and you could tell. You know what I mean? Like, she was kind of crouched. Her hands were doing something weird.
Stop.
Standing totally still, and she's illuminated by her one porch light, so you can't see her face or like anything. And I said out loud, I was like, there's an old lady standing in her yard. I have goosebumps. Because when it happened, it was so intense. But yeah, I was like, there's an old lady standing in the yard. And I remember you from the other time, like, what? Where?
I
know. And Matt's driving, so we didn't stop to look at her.
No. But I remember you saying, like, she was, like, far enough from her house where, like, first of all, it's midnight. So for her to just be standing
on Halloween
there.
Night.
Right.
And I know it was not an inflatable.
No.
That was a person.
Yeah.
You can see the wisps of her hair.
Stop. So that happens, and we're like, oh, that's creepy.
And I think Matt was just like, oh yeah, oh, disgusting.
Right. I feel like Matt, like, couldn't process much because he was like, I can't crash this car.
Yeah.
So then we go.
Keep making our way up.
Yeah, we keep making our way up the curves and the swerves. And we finally get to these, like, 2 huge columns. And, like, the road keeps going down a bit.
Yeah. 4.
Ew, shut up. There was 4.
It was like 4 evenly spaced columns.
Oh, with, like, a gate in the middle.
Yeah, a gate, and each of the columns were, like brick pillars that people might use for, like, their mailbox or their entryway to a driveway.
That's exactly what it looked like.
They all had a single lantern that was lit.
Okay, which is horrifying and disgusting, we need to tell you, because it literally looked like it would be an abandoned entrance. Like, there were chains around the gate. Mm-hmm. The gate was, like, rusted and gross and, like, dilapidated. Like, the columns were disgusting and, like, just dirty. Like, it looks like...
You can pull in on top of gravel.
Yeah, but you can't go farther.
Right.
So that's what we did.
We went on top of the gravel. Mm-hmm. Matt turns the high beams on. Black. Nothing. You can't see past the tree line. No. You couldn't even see, really, the tree line.
No, it was literally, it was like a tunnel of trees, and you could see, like, 5 feet behind that gate, and then it just was dark. So we were like, okay, like, I'm disgusted. We're not getting out. No one had plans.
I'm sure Tony or somebody was like...
I was really going to say that.
I was like, should we get out?
Tony or Matt were like, let's just traipse a little bit.
I'm staying in the car. I'm not getting out. Sure. Are you on crack? I'm not doing this.
No. So then we back out and we, like, turn around and we're going back down the way we came. We're like, okay, we might as well just, like, head home. This was creepy. My creepy meter is fulfilled. We had a good time.
Yeah, like, perfect spooky ending.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then...
oh, my God.
So we start driving back down the winding road, literally like maybe 10 feet from that gate area.
I wish. It was like, essentially, the second we reversed back and started to drive back down, we see the headlights in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, there is this car, and it is zooming. And again, this is a residential street. It is not for the zooms. And it is on our bumper in a second. The
whole way down.
The whole way down. And like, of course, you know, it's probably like go 20, maybe 15 on the curves. We are going like 50 because this person is not slowing down. Like, we can't even, their headlights are so bright in the rear view mirror. Like, you can't even see their license plate. Like, that's how close they are.
At this point, I'm not looking back and my heart is racing.
For sure. So we get out of Rainbow Road.
Everybody. Oh my God, what the fuck is going on? At this point, we're like trying to keep our cool, I think.
That like kind of scary anger is coming up. Like, who the fuck is this? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, because you don't want it to be tears.
Right. Like, no one wants to be the one like, guys, I'm really scared.
Although I was thinking it the whole time. I was horrified.
Me too. Like, I thought for sure we were going to like fly off the road and crash into something.
And when I said, if we had put our foot on the brake,
for a second,
we would have got hit.
Yeah,
they were literally behind, like next on us.
Yeah, tailgating, speeding up too. It wasn't even like they were staying behind us. We would speed up
and they would meet us, meet our speed.
So we fly out of Rainbow Road back onto Cuba Road to the train. Like, we're going over the train tracks again, like that area, and we come up to a red light, and this car is behind us. Like, they stop behind us,
and they move over to the lane next to us. I'm peering into the truck. I'm trying so hard to see who's driving. It's a white truck, and the tints are so dark that I can't see anything. Everybody was trying, like, what is it? What do they look like?
Right, like, who are these
we
people?
Couldn't see.
Nothing. So they turn left. We keep going, or do we turn around?
They turned right.
Oh yeah, right.
And we were going straight, but we didn't know where we were going.
Right.
We didn't even have maps up. We were just trying to get away from this guy.
Yeah. And so eventually, like, we have to turn around because the highway's back, like, past the cemetery again, past the train track. So we turn around. We're going back to the highway.
We're not looking. We're just keeping our eyes closed.
We're like, fuck that guy. And then Tamara says, as we're leaving Rainbow Road,
oh, I don't know where that barn is anymore.
And we all whip our head around and we're like, what barn?
It was like a movie. Like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't know where that barn is. And everybody except the driver, honestly, Matt did a little bit, whips their head to me and they're like, okay, so what are you talking about? Because I didn't see it when we came in here. And I was like, what do you mean?
So Tara's sitting there like...
It's huge. Yeah. I mean, the top of the barn that I saw, which I thought was over the evergreen trees that grow out here, like a standard evergreen tree. The top was over it. You could see the windows that were illuminated, and then the whole roof. But I mean, I couldn't see the ground, and I didn't really. We were just like flying through.
Yeah.
So.
But she was literally like, "Yeah, I saw a barn right here," and we were like, "There has never been a barn. Like there was nothing." I was like, "There was no barn right here," and she's like, "I swear to God."
Yeah, no, I did. I mean, I drew it.
Yeah, no, she drew it.
Before this episode, disgusting. I drew it to show Kelly what I was talking about when we were just like going over the episode. But on the drive home.
Yeah, we did a really cool thing of like what to look at. Because again, Tamara and I had heard about Cuba Road and we were like, this is what happened when we were on it or when our friends were on it. So then we just went like balls to the wall. We don't need to do any research. On the way back on the highway, we were like, okay, let's look up like what you're supposed to experience. And honestly, like in my head, for some reason, I had like an idea of like, oh, if you park on the classic the railroad tracks and put flour, like you'll see handprints and stuff. And
there was none of that.
No. Like that's what I thought. Or like you'll see a ghostly woman in white. Like I just had that in my head as what to expect. No. Here, if you look up what to expect when you go down Cuba Road, it is...
The first thing.
The very first one.
Is that you might... a white car might try to run you off the road.
Literally.
I have scary tears in my eyes. I remember, because we were all everybody who wasn't driving was basically just like doing a Google deep dive.
Yeah.
And we had both been we were like both on the same website.
I just got scary tears.
Yeah, me too. I got scary tears. And
It was a huge gasp. You heard me and Tamara go like,
and everyone's like, what? And the first, it's literally like the thing that happens is that you might get run off the road. Some of them say by like a ghost car, like when you finally pull over, it's not there.
Right.
And some of them explicitly say a white car.
Right.
Ours happened to be a white truck.
It was a white truck. I think it might have said white truck. I don't remember. I'm blacking out.
No, I think it was just like a white car. But regardless,
either way, it was
exactly what happened.
Close enough for me to not be happy about it.
Essentially the exact same thing.
Another one was you see a woman. An old woman.
Yes. You're supposed to see an old woman who, in the websites that I was looking at, it says that the old woman is like walking along the road and people like go to ask her for help or go to see if she needs help and she's not there.
Yeah.
This woman was there.
She was there.
And she was standing in her front lawn.
I never saw her. And like, we drove back down minutes later and I don't think she was there anymore.
Isn't it crazy that this whole thing happened within 20 minutes?
Literally 20 minutes and most of that was behind that train.
Half of it was behind the train. Yeah, so we saw her.
And then why are you telling about that last one that we read?
And, oh God, I cannot believe it. Truthfully, we literally looked this up after we left.
You can look up like what to expect on Cuba Road right now and you will see these things. You'll probably see a couple more, but like these are the things that matched up what we saw.
Is that if you drive into Cuba Road, you may see a barn that when you're driving out of Cuba Road will no longer be there. I was crying. At this point, I'm in the backseat crying.
I'm crying right now. I just like, it's so funny because I remember her saying, like, oh, the barn lights are on. And I was like, wow, I was like, oh, that's gross, but I'm not looking at the barn.
Yeah, you said that's gross.
Yeah. And then we went back and saw the cemetery and I like had paid attention to be like, oh, what barn lights? And I didn't see anything. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I just like didn't see it. Whatever. Cool. And then she came. She was like, "Oh, where's the barn?" I was like, "What fucking barn? I didn't see
everybody.
This barn."
At this point, everybody was ready to be done, and they're like, "Stop! What are you talking about?"
Yeah, and then Tara's separately freaking out because she's like, "No, I actually legitimately saw a building."
Yeah, like, and I'm trying to think like when we drove back down, what was in the spot where I thought the barn was like small houses. Yeah. Not even like a big house. It was like 3 smaller houses.
It was, so suffice to say, we got our money's worth
which
on
was
our
free
Cuba Road experience. Like, I think the coolest part and the scariest part was that like literally we went into it blind because all the stories that I had like heard or whatever had nothing to do with anything we experienced. Like I never heard any of those. And so like looking them up, I was like, oh.
I had heard about potentially a car, like not trying to run you off the road, but like a car with their headlights on and like it appears that there's somebody in it. And then when you look back, there's like nobody in it or something.
Ugh,
I knew there was a car involved. I didn't. Oh my God. I mean, basically everything happened to us.
I had never had an experience like that of like going to a place where you're like, oh, supposedly this happens, and then like it actually happens. And I feel like it was really cool to not know what was supposed to happen until we were leaving, because then it like didn't prep us, you know? Like we were just like, what the fuck is happening? And then we looked and we're like, how did all this happen?
It was one of our spookier. We have had many Halloween. Like the day of the Halloween before that we were in Colorado, were we not?
No, it was the Halloween after.
Halloween after that we were in Colorado on a full moon.
Yeah, and we did get some experience there.
Yeah, that one, we have some pictures.
Ew, shut up. We have a live picture.
We have a live picture that my partner Luce captured. That maybe I'll upload to the Instagram.
Yes, definitely go follow to see content.
ghouulbeanspodcast on Instagram and ghouulbeanspod on TikTok.
Yeah, and we also have a Facebook if you want to add any of your own creepy stories.
And a Reddit.
Share. And a Reddit. And ghoulebeanspodcast@gmail if you want to email us privately.
Please, I would love to read your personal scary stories. Maybe you have one about Cuba Road. I would love that.
Oh my god, if you had a story about Cuba Road, or if you have like any local lore where you're like, I want you guys to talk about that, that'd be really dope too.
That's actually a really good point. So if you guys have any local lore locations that you would like us to go visit, because we are going to be doing adventure episodes pretty soon. We talk about that. We're going to talk about that in the next episode a little bit at the end. But if you have somewhere you want us to go visit, email us at ghoulebeanspodcast@gmail.com and we'll go ahead and do some research on it. Maybe we'll go visit.
Yeah, please give us more places to go that we definitely want to go to.
We have a list and we'll cross-examine.
We'll dot the I's and cross the T's.
Yeah.
So that's our experience. We hope it's
gave you some scary terrors, maybe?
Yeah, I hope you got some goosebumps, or at least, we're like happy you weren't there.
Or maybe you're bummed that you weren't there.
Yeah, and then definitely go there.
I mean, it's spooky season. It's September.
Oh my god, now's the time. Get your best friends and just drive down Cuba Road and see if you get run off.
Yeah. Ooh.
Well. If you do, it's not my fault.
Right. Maybe it would be to your interest to do like a little bike ride.
Hell no. Are you kidding me?
Not us. I'm saying the listeners. I'm not.
Yeah, good luck. I hope you have legs of steel when the car comes up behind you and you're just
screaming. Rainbow Road on a bike?
Oh, honestly, that'd be really fun.
Not with the car behind you.
No. But just in general, like the hills.
A nice, but
no. But what about the asylum? Like, I don't want to be anywhere near Rainbow Road.
I know.
Hell no. Because there's that thing.
Not us, the listeners. I'm not going.
Okay.
Your bus goes.
Guys, if you want to ride your bike, go for it. I don't judge you, but I'm also not going with or doing it myself.
I'm not going with, but I do thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you for listening and spilling
the ghoul beans.
Oh!